Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. On behalf of International Intellectual Property Law Association, I warmly welcome you all to today's insightful webinar. We are truly delighted to have such a distinguished audience joining us from across the globe. Your presence reflects the growing importance of innovation, collaboration, and intellectual property in today's rapidly growing technological landscape. Today's session promises to be particularly engaging as we explore the evolving intersection of open source intellectual property strategy and global policy framework, areas that are shaping the future of innovation ecosystem worldwide. It is now my privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker, Shane Colhane. Shane serves as the Global Ambassador for OIN 2.0 at Open Invention Network, where he plays a key role in advancing collaborative innovation and patent non-aggression initiative. With a career spanning the intersection of open source policy, international standard, and intellectual property strategy, Shane has been instrumental in building scalable framework for complex multi-stakeholder ecosystem. Earlier in his career, he founded the European Legal Network, the largest professional community for open source legal practitioners, and co-founded key publications that have shaped global understanding of open source law. Additionally, his long-standing association with Open Forum Europe highlights his influence in guiding policy and innovation dialogue at an international level. With an impressive journey and this extensive, now I'm honored to have Shane on the floor.
So a brief introduction of myself to start. You've already heard a little bit of my biography. I will just add to that over the last 20 years, I've spent a great deal of time focused on how open technology, open innovation, and intellectual property intersect. I've worked in the domain of copyright and patents. I've worked on governance and in building ISO standards. In this time, I've come to learn that collaboration in all its forms is key. And today, we're going to talk about how collaboration around patents can be beneficial and indeed critical for open innovation. The topic of today's talk is about how OIN addresses patent risk management and how it does so for the current and future period of open innovation. I want to give you a little bit of history about OIN. This organization was formed 20 years ago. Its mission was simple and clear. It was to safeguard open source adoption during a period of threat from large patent holding companies. Those companies perceived that open source posed a risk to their existing business models. OIN's first 20 years were based around addressing this risk and then addressing a changing market. The big picture of OIN is contained on this slide and can be described in essentially three ways. Over 20 years, over 4,000 organizations decided to pledge patent non-aggression over the Linux system. This cross-license pool constitutes more than 3 million patents and applications owned by the licensees. And that covers over 5,000 open source technology packages. The types of open source technology covered and protected include technologies such as Linux, MySQL, OpenStack, Android, PHP, and many more. When we talk about the Linux system, we're talking about core software packages from open source projects. And those packages are regarded as critical to business operations across multiple sectors. OIN's community of patent non-aggression is genuinely global. From the 195 countries we have in the world, the patent non-aggression community includes members from 157 countries. The idea has been and continues to be that everyone, everywhere, should have access to and benefit from open innovation. On this slide, you can see a representation of the global membership, and you can see how it is split fairly evenly around the world. There's strong representation from each major continent that is part of business driving open source, with large companies, whether industrial or cloud, in each sector. With over 4,000 organizations around the world, OIN has provided a significant footprint of consensus around patent non-aggression. The Linux system, which is where the companies pledge patent non-aggression, is a carefully curated series of packages. Essentially, each of the community members pledges not to utilize their patents or their applications against the Linux system with respect to every other community member. This simple pledge covers approximately 5,000 software packages. These packages, as I mentioned, include core technologies we all rely on. To ensure that the Linux system definition remains current, OIN evolves it, usually on an 18 to 24-month cycle. The evolution and updates are carefully managed. The scale and scope of what OIN does is quite unique. Clearing patent risk in this manner has changed how we address the market and how cross-licensing regarding something like patent non-aggression can work. We do a lot of work with our community to try to ensure that everyone is included in discussions about the future. For example, every company is welcome and encouraged to map and nominate open source packages that they use but are not yet included in the Linux system definition. The goal is to ensure that as much core and critical open source technology is protected by this community of patent non-aggression. The methodology utilized reflects what is happening in the market. Open source is expanding into new areas all the time. One example would be cloud technology. In the last 20 years, the number of open source packages related to cloud technology has exploded. There is everything from the lowest level orchestration through to higher level middleware and management technology under open source. To name check two major projects, OpenStack and Kubernetes have driven a great deal of global cloud, software as a service, and other remote software technologies. With the updates to the Linux system definition on a thoughtful, regular cadence, we make sure that the current developments are covered. The latest update happened this year on the 27th of January, when we released what we call Table 13, providing enhanced coverage for exactly the type of technologies I just mentioned, cloud technology, as well as additional technologies, for example, covering Go and Rust languages, which we use extensively when we build open source products, services, and solutions. The methodology we use to increase the scope of the Linux system, to increase the coverage, the scale of the pledge of non-aggression, is to have a conservative and consensus-driven approach and a technical committee providing expert review. The technical committee looks at submissions, nominations from around the world, nominations received from companies, from organizations such as open source foundations, open source projects, and it considers how there is an intersection of certain packages with wide adoption. Maturity, licensing, and governance is also taken into account. You can see on this slide an example of how OIN's Linux system definition has grown over time. It begins with Table 1 and continues to the latest table, which was released this year. As you can see, we expanded from just over 1,000 covered packages to over 5,000 today. This very carefully executed process happened over 20 years of innovation. It was collaborative, and it ensured that every voice was heard as we determined what packages were shared technology, genuinely widely used, and beneficial to all parties to be included in the patent non-aggression pledge. At the 20th anniversary of OIN, the question has arisen, how do we ensure sustainability for the next 20 years? When there is something like a large community of patent non-aggression, which constantly updates its approach to ensure that its coverage is comprehensive and modern, how do we ensure that that administrative work can be done in a sustainable manner? The first 20 years of OIN were covered by essentially the founding companies and funding members. A small group of companies got together and funded OIN to ensure that the community of patent non-aggression could be built and sustained. As we reach the 20-year anniversary, OIN is now considering how it can make a broader pool of supporters that can support the organization financially. In other words, how can the community of non-aggression, benefiting from the non-aggression pledge, actively contribute to the sustainability of this community? The original OIN license was free because the founding members covered all the costs. Starting with Table 13, we have a subscription model in OIN. This subscription model is designed to ensure access is easy and fees are nominal. For small companies, it remains completely free to access the latest OIN table. For larger companies, a nominal fee is charged, up to a maximum of $24,000 for companies with revenue of over $500 million. This is a change to how the community runs for the purpose of sustainability, and it is a change that has been rolled out in the last couple of months. The benefit of the OIN 2.0 licensing program is full coverage of all the previous tables, as well as the latest table, which, as I mentioned, covers things like cloud technology, and all future tables that will be added to the Linux system. Existing licensees from OIN 1.0 maintain their license for Table 1 to 12. They don't have access to Table 13. That requires OIN 2.0 membership, but they maintain access to what they previously had. The benefit of organizations joining OIN 2.0 is multifaceted. For example, access to all of the post-grant invalidation of open source related patents held by non-practicing entities that OIN works on with its prior art. We collaborate with Unified Patents on the open source zone since 2019 in activities related to this. Defensive support in the form of prior art that can help companies at risk or in litigation in areas directly related to open source patents. And of course, access to the annual OIN Legal Summit. The inaugural event will take place this fall, and the ongoing Asian Legal Network events, which have been operated by OIN since 2013 and have long been a bridge-building exercise between Asian companies and the rest of the world. OIN 2.0 has been rapidly gaining traction. This evolution of the community has seen adoption by quite a few companies. When this slide was produced, over 150 companies had joined OIN 2.0. Since this slide was produced, it is over 200 companies now involved in OIN 2.0's community. This growing footprint of companies has a tremendous influence on the market. It makes a clear statement about current and future patent non-aggression. There is a call to action with this presentation, and that call to action is that we would like everyone who is part of OIN 1.0's community to join OIN 2.0 and in that manner commit to OIN's sustainability and permanent presence of the definitive method of addressing patent risk in open source. And for companies that are not yet part of the OIN community, that are not part of the over 4,000 companies pledging patent non-aggression, we would like you to step forward and pledge patent non-aggression now. The OIN community has created a weight, a norm of patent non-aggression that benefits everyone. But that norm is strengthened and supported by participation, not just passive observance. So that is my call to action. Join OIN 2.0 and help benefit the long term of open source innovation and sustainability from the perspective of patent non-aggression. OIN's model has proven successful at a scale that goes beyond OIN itself. For example, we've seen the emergence of an AI patent consortium cross-license that we expect to launch in Q2 2026, and an open hardware patent risk mitigation working group that we expect to come online in 2027 or 2028. The reason we're seeing adjacent activities such as this is precisely because the OIN model works. It has acted as a steward, a protector, and a supporter of open source for 2 decades, and it continues to be the optimal method to ensure patent non-aggression. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I appreciate your time, and naturally, at the conference that we will have in June, I will go into more depth on this subject. With that, I will hand over to our moderator to ensure that we can take any questions.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. And thanks to everyone for joining us. So now we'll move to question and answer session. If you have any question, please feel free to ask, or you can drop them in the chat box, and we will try to take as many as question as time permit. Yes, so I encourage my audience to ask the question if you have any. But yes, Shane, we received the hi and the greetings from Morocco, and he's attorney Mohammed Courage from Mohammed. So he was just sending the greetings to you.
Much appreciated, and I do appreciate everyone's time. I know this was a whistle-stop tour, a very quick run-through of a very big topic. It's serving as a taste of the type of discussion we'll have around open innovation and patent management.
Yeah. So, all right, maybe in case we'll have a question, you guys can drop to Shane directly. Just for the information, that session is being recording, and we will be sharing the recording to all the participants after the webinar. And we are also replaying this recording at today 11 a.m. GMT, so that the other audience could also attend again. And apart from that, we do have the upcoming events, that is 29th edition of IIPLA 2026 China, which is going to held on June 8 and 9 at Pullman, Shanghai, and which is bringing like around 300 global IP leaders and professionals for 2 days of impactful discussion and networking. Following that, we'll have the 30th edition of IIPLA 2026 US in Palo Alto on September 21 and 22, 26, which is also a 2-day event. So if any one of you wish to register soon, they can use the discount coupon, which is webinar 100, and it will give you a discount of $100. Well, so I'm again like asking the audience, in case if you have any questions. Yes, Shane, again we received the greetings from the Nancy, and like thanking you for your time and wonderful presentation. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, attorney like Mohammed Courage. Yes, Shane. So in case if we receive any query regarding this webinar, we will definitely post you through the email.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for your time. Have a beautiful
Yeah.
day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.